Thrand here.
Hey, this is Overarm.
And we're here with a very special reply video for Lindybeige. On Facebook, he had messaged me back after seeing our video for Roland Warzecha, comparing the cast blow. Well, the blow is actually thrown out. And the way it's thrown out is where it gets its power from. You accelerate the blade. It's much like the SCA technique when they talk about snapping the blade or accelerating the blade and streamlining it. It's basically all they're doing. It's the same kind of cut.
True.
And we use those back and forth all the time without being disarmed. But he immediately said that if the hand is up in this position, you know, where the thumb's slightly to the side,
that opposing force on the blade can knock it from your grip.
Right. It can easily, it looks like it's weak this way if you look at it, because people draw the handshake grip and so on, and it looks like it can easily be cast out of the hand that way. But the thumb's not directly behind the sword unless, I guess, you were trying to set it that way to cut with it that way. When you throw the cast, the hand's basically in the classic position with it very tight on the back, like a
hammer grip, like
a hammer grip. And Matt Easton, he even mentioned that. That's how he does it. But when you end, just like I said, when he ends up in this position if you get full extension.
It's only momentary, though.
Right. We even see depictions where it looks like it's broken over more than, you know, a straight arm.
Yes, and his additional argument was also applied to the spear with the casting spear thrust. Some people call it Thrand's overarm slide.
Right, but I did not invent it by any means. We believe that it's
based more on a gigging style, like if you go frog gigging. But
yeah, most certainly.
You know, with this,
it actually comes out and back,
and you have it behind the shield,
and
it's hidden. But it's only a portion of a martial art, which I think we should
address. Arthurian historian, which we appreciate him doing this. He did a reply video to us. It's 22 minutes long, so it's quite long to watch. But through the whole video, he compares the cast blow to, I'm assuming, other types of cuts like the
hammer grip
cutting, just allowing the blade
or
to stay
screening shots, like
or like cuts where you screen and cut or draw cut,
right?
Compared to actually the cast blow, and he's saying a lot of the same things is what we're getting.
Right.
He's saying that, you know, you probably be disarmed, that power is not the main focus. And our argument is basically sometimes power is important, and other times it's not as important. If somebody is in blossfetched and unarmored, then
you could use
But it's
those.
never meant to be a standalone technique. We never said that other techniques could not be utilized. We just said that we see this depiction in artwork, and we believe this is what they are doing.
That's right.
Very commonly. And there's reasons why. The weapons were designed for that type of...
Let's just say this, it's one
technique.
It's one move in an entire system of martial skills. So even in the Viking era and all these other eras, the hammer grip is still used, the handshake finish and the cast is still used.
Oh yeah, even in bronze weapons we see this depending on how they're made. If they're heavier blades, they tend not to have the big round disc on the back.
Right.
So today what we've done is we devised a bunch of tests, and they're to test to see if it's possible, which you don't believe with the proper tempo in fighting, using shield fencing instead of sword fencing, that you're going to be able to even possibly hit the side of the blade without getting hit yourself. You're going to take a big chance to do this. So we don't think it's feasible, but we're going to set it up in the optimum conditions where he can test it out, hit it as hard as he possibly can with ridiculous amounts of force, trying to stop me from hitting a target, and see if he can dislodge it from my hand.
Yeah, we're going to put opposing force on with a lot of force. Lots of force. We're going to hit it as hard as we can.
And we'll even test out real quick to see if power does affect anything in combat against certain kinds of flexible armor.
Right. Yeah, let's get those tests started and see what the results are.
Yes, sir. All right, I'm here with my famous brick setup. What we've got it set up like is it to be like a clavicle or a scapula type idea, or where it all meets in the shoulder joint. And it's very hard to protect that. You could put padding over it. Early period when they wore a lot of mail and they got to where they were wearing not just gurneys or halberd, they were wearing entire suits of mail covering almost every bone. But we don't have a lot of evidence whether they were actually using anything else to reinforce forearms and legs until they started putting plate pieces on or hardened leather and so on. So early period we see a lot of those type cast blows. So what we're going to do is set this up today with our 40% ballistics gelatin over our fake bone in an ideal setup to possibly break. We're going to go ahead and put over that our gambeson, which is actually a mantle here, with our Bourget mantle, with our actual coif. Let me set that up right here. You want to set that up ideally where it's covering the bone properly, and we're going to test it and see if you can get any power through that, because power is the issue here, whether it's ever necessary to have power for any specific blows or anything to damage your opponent. And I believe through mail it's possible to damage certain bones, so let's see what happens. I'll start off by testing a cut like he's describing, Arthurian historian. He's saying controlled blade, so I'm assuming he means a good strong grip. You're not going to overextend it, you're just going to cut with it. Which, of course, I could use the weight of this blade because I'm used to throwing a cast blow, and I could literally throw a cast blow in this situation, shortening it, and get more power. But this would be a hacking or chopping or cutting technique like he's trying to say is not used as much because it can either get disarmed or you actually cannot redirect it. But I kind of beg to differ in certain situations where the power might be important, you're going to want full power. But let's say I am going to cut it like a screening style cut or something, if I was going to come in and control it, and we'll see what it does to our rig here. Well, we got flesh damage, but didn't do anything to our brick.
Would you call that bruising?
I would say bruising, and since it was against a bone, I mean, you never know. It might have damaged the skin some. You might have some rupturing in the skin where you have blood actually coming out of the hematoma. But I didn't see anything severe. We are now going to use the cast blow, and one of the things he said about it, he said that it slides through the hand out like this. No, you'd wind up catching it like that. It is not a thrown blow like the spear or something where it slides in the hand. Now, we're going to start off, I'm holding it tightly back here, a lot like Matt Easton has said, where you hold tight back here and he kind of just holds it and lets the blade do what it wants to do. But when you get full extension, what happens? The thumb tends to go to one side, you end up in Roland's idea or the handshake style grip, but it's only for a moment in time when you're actually casting the blow out to get the reach, but you're using the weight of the blade. I'm worried more about accelerating the blade on this than using my body and stepping in and cutting and pushing or pulling. I'm just going to use the weight of the sword and accelerate it, try to impact this and see what kind of damage we can do. And I'm starting off in this position, my hand's tight back here, but I'm actually going to let it kind of rock back in my hand before I throw the blow to get the most amount of force possible. So let's go ahead and see what happens here.
Fuck.
I would say that it did its job. Our flesh was torn all to heck, but I'm sure that's getting shoved into the brick. Still held up together pretty well.
When you think about it, the flesh gets shoved into the bone too. If it even splintered or anything like that, it would do damage to the skin subcutaneously.
Right, so we had the padding of our gambeson. We had our mail, which was mostly here for aesthetics. We didn't have a sharp blade. There was no need to. This is all blunt force trauma. And this is what ended up happening. We ended up enough force to still damage that. So my argument is the clavicle right here is set up to break, if you think about it. I know, yes, the shoulder can move and so on, but it's set up, it's stretched across. There's lots of bones in the body in certain circumstances, if they have enough force going through them, not necessarily breaking them by hitting them and then giving, but them in a situation where they can't give, they'll break from the impact, just like the brick did. So yes, I think under circumstances of mostly mail and lots of gambeson, that the force of the blow did matter even from swords, and that's why you see the 13th century swords getting heavier and heavier until they decided that wasn't really the way to go. Let's go for niches. People are wearing lots of plates, not helping us much. We need to start trying to get in those niches and kill them that way. But when it was just lots of mail, and especially cloth armor, like multiple layers of cloth, you could still injure the guy through the cloth even if you didn't get a slice and cut into it. But with a proper angle and force, more force cuts through more material. That's why it works so well on tatami, or it cuts through our rolled wet newspaper. There's only a certain way to cut through that and go clean through, especially with these thicker blades. They're much thicker than what they usually use for tatami cutting. They use specific blades that are real thin to make it easier for them nowadays. So all in all, I would say that there is some validity to using force when hitting certain areas of the body. Would you want to use it in every single blow? Probably not. But if it's some area where you can't hit any niches and you're pretty much throwing blows like that, then yeah, you want to hit a shoulder, you want to hit a clavicle, you want to hit some ribs, you want to hit something, at least injure the guy or wind him. Maybe you get your niche after that and get him right in a nice opening when he's bent over or hunkered over or in pain, or he just leaves the field for you. We have another test for you here, and we're here with the River Shelt sword, the reenactment version from Medieval Shop. We accidentally misquoted before and thinking, because it does look very similar to it.
Yeah, we misquoted, called it River Thames or
Thames.
River Thames. But the correct pronunciation is Thames, and we mispronounce it because of local dialect, not because we don't know any better.
We have a road right up from us. I mean, just a few blocks away that is called Thames. If you call this anything else, and there's an apartment complex called Thames.
Yeah.
If you call it anything else, they would look at you and not know where you're talking about.
You get somebody lost around here if you gave directions and told them
If you said Thames or Thames or however you want to say it in a proper pronunciation, they're not going to respond. Anyway, we're going to talk about the cast blow and it being easily knocked from the hand. We had a written or a text reply after Lindybeige saw our video, so I'm assuming maybe he might do a reply. If not, we wanted to reply to him. He said that he thought it would easily be knocked from the hand. I'm not sure if Arthurian historian had quoted that as well, but it's one of the things about the overarm throwing slide or the cast blow that we're getting criticized with, because it appears that the thumb is directly behind the quillian.
Right. Well, this test is designed to prove whether or not that'll actually happen. So I have my pole. So we're going to use it a lot like a spear or a pole arm, except I'm going to use it more in the bow staff kind of respect, like a two-handed sword or something, and try and bash it out of his hand.
Knock it as hard as he can, which this guy here that's going to be my pal I'd be aiming at wouldn't have the ability to hit like that standing in front of me. Also, let's talk about the length of this. I'm going to be holding it to the back, as I said before. The thumb couldn't directly go behind the quillian because of how tight the 8 centimeters or 7 centimeters the grips we find. It would only be, in this kind of position, possibly off to the side. But I will even put it directly behind. I'll try some different ending positions, and I will throw a proper cast blow and see what happens here. Let's go ahead and see what we can do. Yeah, that was funny.
That was.
It did that good, but I'm saying what it did is it just rolled it in my hand. Ooh! Good.
It's hard to do this. Ah, damn. Damn it, man. It's hard. Ah, shit. It's hard to get you. God, that was good. And look at this. Look what it's doing to this shit. It's tearing it all up. And that's a blunt sword? Man, it's... So I'm hitting it, trying to knock it out of his hand. I'm not limp wristing this. I'm trying to knock it out of your hand with everything I got.
Try from the other angle?
Yeah. Try again. Damn, it's hard to do that.
And it's easy just to, even with my fingers holding this way, if I'm holding it this way, there's nothing to it. It's not going to go anywhere because I'm holding it back here. This is the whole thing. This is gripped tight because of the T shape back here. So what's going on is I'm holding it this way, so even if he knocks it this way, I've still got a hold of the sword. If he knocks it this way, I still have a hold of the sword. All I have to do is redirect the energy. And
roll with it.
Yeah.
Rolling with it. Let's try one more and see if I'm going to try really hard this time. Oh, hold up. All right. Ready? Dang.
And I've still got control of the sword. And notice where I'm holding it. My hand's not up here. It's not tight. What would happen if you try it with a tight grip like he speaks of? Let's just try that real fast. All right. Hit it really good, and I'm going to come down this way.
All right.
Oh. Well, believe it or not, with this sword, I ended up in the same position when he knocked it that way because the sword tried to pull out of my hand that way. So I really don't see the difference.
I don't, yeah.
The only thing I can think of is if they're talking about a different style of disarm where you intentionally disarm the person, and those type of disarm situations are rare in HEMA and stuff. They're going to work anyway. I don't care what grip the guy's got. It's going to work if you apply a proper disarm against the hand and thumb. It has nothing to do with the grip and the sword being swung. That's something totally different.
I can feel it. I mean, it's rocking my arms whenever I'm...
Yeah, I don't think that's a problem with this technique.
Thanks.
Sorry. We are here with Stone Cleaver, Stene Cleaver, my favorite sword. And it has an actual tight grip. I modified this for another video because it was slightly longer, like all modern swords. Even though it was made for me, it was done that way because they assumed that I wanted, I guess, a gauntlet, like everybody would assume. But we've got the actual 8 centimeters. It's about 8, 7 centimeters, somewhere between 8 and 7 centimeters. And we've got the tight grip. And like I was saying, it's very difficult to get your thumb behind this. It would be off to one side. If you're using the grip we're speaking of, even if this is perfectly straight here, which would be even tighter then, your thumb's going to be off to one side. So it's not like your thumb's directly behind it and this is totally open here and easy to pull out. Your thumb is slightly off to one side and most of your grip is in the back when you do the cast blow. The other thing he keeps speaking of is that there's no control. I can't stop this. Once I get it going that way, there's no control, which you can see you can control it. But what we're going to do here is we're going to do a test where I use a live steel blade and try to cut through the bottle, and he's going to see if he can somehow interrupt my cut.
Yep.
You know, stop me from cutting the bottle and just see what it does if it knocks it out of my hand. I've got a lanyard, so this is a lanyard or a thong or a tether, which comes up, I know, in Grettir the Strong and some other sagas where they use it to have a secondary weapon or switch to it quickly, so on from spear. So it's a common thing that you do see in old text. And I always stand like I have a shield, which would be harder for him to do this with the shield in the way. But I'm going to try and cast blow to cut through this, and he's going to try to hit it and keep it from doing so.
All right, ready? Go.
I think he hit my blade, but
I did. You can see the mark where I hit it.
I just don't think it did very much good in stopping me. The thing is, a parry's a parry. It'd be something.
Well, here we can see where I hit it right here.
But it would, a parry would be something to stop the blade. If he's trying so hard to knock it out of my hand, how is he going to defend himself if I'm on target?
That's true.
That was my point here. I didn't think it would be something. If I'm actually going for a target, how easy it's going to be to stop it when you see it coming.
Yeah.
Not easy at all.
I don't even know if I hit you.
I think you hit the bottle. Well, I was hitting it. Okay, we're here with the overarm slide. Notice I'm in the crucial position, my arm back, where I don't have anything protruding in front of the shield or way out in front of me. It can even be hidden behind the shield. The idea to this is that's what it is. It's cast out. It's something you're going to throw out at any moment, and he doesn't know when. Or you could just use it conventionally, like we were stating. You know, you could use it in any method, in close. But what we're going to do is test if it can be knocked out of the hand. This was said by Lindybeige, in a reply to me, that he thought it could easily be knocked out of the hand. And they talk about it being manipulated. Any spear in motion, if the arm is punching, no matter what you're doing, can be pushed or moved out of the way. As a matter of fact, even if something's sticking out like this, it can be pushed around. I don't care if they say it has more control because it's under the arm. It's still, you've got the weak at the end. If somebody pushes against the end, it's going to go that way. Sorry, it's just the way things work. But we're going to test and see what, we know it can be knocked off course if it gets hit at the right time, but will it come out of the hand? That's our whole test here. Is it easy to lose your spear this way other than accidentally throwing it?
Right. Well, today we have a target set up for Thrand to throw at, and then I'm going to take my best shot with my staff and try knock it out of his hand in a variety of directions. So let's try it out, see what happens.
And I'm going awfully slow here. I can actually throw through that.
Break it up, break it up.
Alright, I'm going to be throwing at this like that's my target, and using the overarm slide, see if he can knock this out of my hand or stop me from hitting the target. Well, it didn't knock it out of my hand, but we did go into the target, and then
you can see
his blow just tore the heck out of it. That's all I did. We got in and tore our way out, cut our way out technically. But I didn't lose it.
Not at all.
Aim some more at it, see if you can knock it out of my hand this way. Of course, they'll say that got caught on the target, so it didn't. Well, I hope you enjoyed the testing today.
I know I did. I had a blast.
Oh,
That was
most
a hell of a
certainly.
fun.
And I think we've pretty much proven what we already knew, that when the cast blow is thrown out, that it's not going to easily be knocked out of the hand. You know, under optimal situations where the guy could hit it with full force from a two-handed blow, it bent the blade severely if you go back and look at that.
You're absolutely right.
But the blade snapped right back. Of course, we have modern blades, like the pattern welded one here, which this one is actually made more moderniely, probably snap back as well, because it has a spring temper compared to like some of the early migrational swords. Probably, you know, a sword like that, he'd have been putting his foot on it to bend it back.
Right, yeah.
But it bounces. the thumb actually comes in as I'm throwing it out. If something impacts it,
It's instinctive. If it,
right. So if
it
anybody
impacts-
noticed that, where my thumb popped in, it's just instinct. And then the back of the pommel, the T-shaped pommel, like we were saying, allows you to just redirect the
And
weight
it's not
of the
just
blade.
the pommel. Now, it has a lot of your physiology has to do with that. Your wrist, elbow, shoulders. As the force impacts on either side of the blade,
the whole thing just
your
wants to do that.
physiology
Yeah,
reacts
just
to it as
wants
well.
to-
You're not a steel bar holding that out at the end of that blow.
Most certainly.
You are a dynamic fluid machine.
So Lindy's saying that this has a lot of advantages, not having to step, having extreme power, which power is not the main focus. I mean, you can just throw with lighter amounts if you think you need less. Is correct. I believe he's correct on. He stated that he saw a lot of advantages to it, but it could easily be disarmed. I think we've proven this.
We've just proven that, yeah.
Even when I go directly for the target, you weren't able to hit it.
No, now
When
he
I
was
actually
helping
stabbed
me.
at the jug, or actually when I hit it with a sharp weapon.
Now he was helping me on the practice setups that you see.
Yes,
and
I
even
was
on
helping
those,
him.
I was missing sometimes.
Yes.
So already you can see a low percentage for me to pull that off as a third person. Imagine being in a first-person situation, having the same thing, and he's intent and focused on that target. Just like with the jug, when he's intent and focused on the target, Thrand,
I ended up going through the jug, and he hit it after.
And I'm following him. It's too
Right.
fast.
So the thing is, in that stance on it, with the proper tempo, whether it be shield fencing, which we believe they did early period with these larger shields.
That's right.
Because obviously this sword's not made for sword fencing.
It's not made, yeah, not at all. Look at
And
that.
this
You can't
sword, if it was
fence.
early period, some of them were not the quality to do so, and some of these were bone handles,
Wood.
wood handles. The swords were heavy. They were made to cut with the entire length of the blade.
That's right.
And we see depictions with the blade out like this. So I'm assuming that, this is probably the most common technique, but not the only technique.
That's right. All techniques are used together, and that goes out to our.
This gives you much more reach, though, if you were utilizing the shield to its fullest by reaching out.
Yeah.
Or if I try doing this, not only will I hit the shield or something, if I try doing this hammer-style grip or a slicing motion, I'm not going to get past the front of my shield to utilize it. This way, in either method, I can reach out. And my arm doesn't get in the way. The other way, I can't even get past my arm here. So I don't know if y'all can see that. But yeah, so there's a lot of advantages to the reach.
That's right.
Now, addressing Arthurian historian, we never meant this was a standalone technique. We just meant it worked well with the Viking round, and we believed it was used a lot due to the circumstances. They were
right.
using a shield to fence with, not the sword, in our opinion,
True.
like Roland Warzecha. So in that case, these type of blows against proper armor,
That's like
or
we
even
tested.
without armor, were devastating.
Oh,
'cause
you'd
could
be
time them
terrified
properly.
of somebody
Yeah, and
throwing
they're coming out
those.
extremely fast with so much force that even controlled, they're going to lob something off.
They're gonna, and if they don't lob something else because you're wearing armor, and it's going to bust something if it hits the
It
right
possibly
bones.
could if it hits the right thing. I think we've proven that today as well.
That's no doubt.
But our
no doubt.
focus was not extreme power. That's what
That's
we were
right.
saying. And we never said that they never use these type of cuts anymore. If somebody's in close, I'm most certainly I'm going to cut that way.
That's right.
If I'm unarmored, and
Yes,
they have
you're used
lighter
screening
versions
cuts.
of Viking Age swords that appear like they were almost made for fighting without a shield.
That's
or,
true.
Or they might have done some sword fencing.
And
you could cut a man easily that way.
Yes, and if you'll.
If he's not armored and it's a civilian situation, you can step in and slice him. It's all over, right in the throat.
That's very true. Very, very true.
Well, in our reply to Arthurian historian on the cast blow with the sword and the spear, I think he assumes that the entire fight is fought back here. And notice, they can see me, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's not noticing my arm position. This is not only for range, this is for close in, or even hiding the spear could be hidden behind the shield. You all can see, he can't see my spear. I could even change positions and come into an underarm position if I wanted. But the idea is it's back here, so if he has a shorter weapon early in the period even, and he rushes in, I'm still in here. I can still attack him and fight a battle without drawing back. I'm already drawn back. But at a distance, I can reach him if I so choose. And with him looking directly at it, to try to bat that out of the way is going to be dang near impossible.
Oh,
He's going to have to
absolutely.
worry about staying offline with it. I can attack his foot from here. I mean, heck, he also said you can't redirect it. I could pretend I'm going to do that and just stab you directly in the foot if I wanted with the same technique, just like I redirected. That depends on the skill of the user.
Very true.
So, and the other thing he was saying, it would stick in the shield and so on. I mean, it stuck, but I pulled it right out.
But
I
the
don't see
recoil is helping you recover too.
I don't see it as a major problem. Yeah.
Yeah, but what do you think about the recoil helping?
Oh yeah, I'm getting it right back instantly.
And I have to push the shield into
And
it to
even
get
though
the
it
stick.
stuck slightly in there, I was able to retrieve it. If I had to, I could use my shield
Yeah.
or whatever, yank it back. But that's why they
Very
have swords
true.
for as well. If something went wrong, you would never aim at the shield. But if you did get stuck in a shield or
Right.
armor or something, or a person, you'd switch to your shorter weapon.
Right, and still the same principle applies. You hide behind the shield. But that's like, say, the cast blow with the sword or the cast blow with the spear is the only technique you use in the whole thing. That's analogous to saying that the thrust kick and the side thrust kick and the lunge punch in karate are the only two things in karate.
Right.
You still
and
use
starting
short.
in this position, you basically are starting off where you can use the spear this way as close as you possibly can.
Just like in unarmored fighting, you start off in positions where you can use those big attacks.
Or you can do something like that and reach out and get him and bring the spear right back as he tries to close
Yeah,
it.
but again, those are big attacks. You set
Change
up for.
grips,
You got all your little jabs and sticks.
hide
with it.
behind the shield. So he's not sure exactly where you're coming out or if you're going down or you're coming
Yep.
back up.
They don't know if you're going to jab, you're going to thrust, you're going to throw.
You would probably see something more like this in single combat, not knowing what was going to take place.
True.
So what we were trying to say is, no, it's not the standalone technique. I'm sorry you compared it to all the other techniques.
But you can't compare it to the other techniques. It sits right alongside those techniques in your entire martial discipline.
We just don't think the lance grip was used as much as Christopher Matthews has said, because first of all, you have to be up here the entire time. The guy can move in, and I'm kind of in a bad situation. He's going to rush in quickly with a sharp weapon. Even if it's down low for single combat, I have max range. If he gets in, I have to try to choke up. If I'm in this kind of position, he really doesn't know what's taking place.
Oh, hell, now I'm scared of him.
Yeah, you've got all this kind of stuff going on, which changes the entire fight. And I don't have to open up much, and I can just utilize the spear to do the work. But if it does come to the necessity, I can even be in this close, utilizing the spear this way to stab him. I'm not using any kind of slide. I'm just stabbing him, trying to get a body shot or something. So, in theory, it's a technique. It's not necessarily my technique. Everybody keeps calling it, but it's a technique we believe was used in antiquity, during the Viking Age,
very true.
throughout the whole use of one-handed spears and shields. We see it in depictions, and we believe that's what the big missing link is to why overarm is valuable. It's boom,
That's right.
not here like a lot of people assume, and not just a body shot or holding the spear balanced like this and trying to
You
stab
just fight.
down.
You fight. It's like boxing and stuff. You
Right.
have your hands cocked up to fight. You don't have them
Right.
out here. You have them cocked up and ready to go.
But
It's the
you
same
actually have a reach with
concept.
it. So yes. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope you give us a reply back, Arthurian historian.
And Lindybeige.
And Lindybeige.
Feel free to make a video reply to us, Lindy. And we appreciate all of you watching. You're the guys that make it possible for our channel to keep going. I think we're approaching 15,000 subscribers now, so thank
yes,
you,
we're
everyone.
Almost there. Yeah, we're almost there.
Thank you to everyone.
Thank you very much for that. Very
Big
much
shout outs
appreciated.
to Zombie Go Boom, who've been big help to us. Big shout out to Lindybeige. Scalagrim, Scholar Gladiatoria. That's Matt Easton.
Matt Easton, most certainly.
I'll tip my hat to you, brother. And also, big thanks to Neil Burridge, Lord Tim over at Medieval Shop. If it wasn't for him sending us items to help us make videos, we wouldn't have any videos.
Right, most certainly. And all our supporters on Patreon.
That's right. Thank you again. That special shout out to our boy Pete Costanzo in Nevada.
Making mead. He's making wild yeast
He's
mead.
been posting that on the
Said
boat
it was
crew.
excellent.
Yeah, we're kind of keeping up with a daily journal of how his mead's going on the boat crew. And speaking of which, guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like it, comment down below. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. We love subscribers, so go ahead and subscribe. That's YouTube channel Thrand. Find us on Facebook at Thrand and Elgrimer's Well of Remembrance. Also, you can find our closed group that we were just talking about, the Thrand YouTube Boat Crew. You can be a part of the boat crew. Get in there, talk about everything anachronistic and living history. If you have questions about creating weapons, armor, anything of the like, Thrand and I can help. And if we can't, there are members of the crew that can help you.
Most certainly.
So be sure to ask to join. All you do is type it in the search engine on Facebook, Thrand YouTube Boat Crew. Join, we'll let you right in. Don't forget, subscribe, donate to our channel at www.patreon.com/Thrand. Also, we have a PayPal, is that right?
Yeah, Thrand at yahoo.com is the ID, but you can also send me an email there if you'd like to let me know what you want us to do with the money. Because if we can do what you ask, we will try our best to test what you ask us to or address the subject at hand that you'd like us to research, or if we already have prior knowledge to it.
That's right. So anyway, thank you again, everyone, and help us make the push to 20K this month. Tell your friends to subscribe, guys. Thank you again. It's a pleasure having you. Farewell.
Farewell.
Ah!